But of course, as you can guess, the radioactivity of that is small, not very large at all. So let us look at the other material that is present there in your garden. Let us in fact look at thorium. It's there in your garden, 6 kilograms of thorium. One of the advantages of this lecture is I'd never previously before seen thorium metal. I'd seen uranium and plutonium, but not thorium. But this is quite radioactive. See, if I put it behind the lead wall, it's shielded from the counter. If I put it in front of the counter, see, that is very radioactive. 6 kilograms of thorium. 6 kilograms of thorium, that is in your average garden, 1/10 of an acre, going down just 1 meter. Only 1 meter. I will ask you to use your imagination and dig down deeper later on. It's also got 2 kilograms of uranium. 2 kilograms of uranium. That's also in your garden as dilute uranium ore. This also is, of course, only 1/3 the weight of the thorium. It's also quite radioactive. That also is in your garden, and that is just in the top meter. It is in fact radiating you. It is in fact a small hazard to your health. In your garden, the uranium is associated with radium and radon. That is because as the uranium decays, that is what it creates. And actually, radium and radon are themselves more radioactive than the uranium metal by itself. And I would now like to demonstrate that to you by showing you a sample of radioactive ore that's actually come all the way from Key Lake in Canada. Here's a picture of it. Here's just a sample of uranium ore. You'll see it is a very small sample. It only contains a small amount of uranium, but it contains its full ration of radium and radon. That also is in your garden. And you see this is very radioactive. And weight for weight, that is more radioactive than the uranium metal that I showed you just a few minutes ago. Just in case you think that that is something special, in case you think that that had to come all the way from Canada in order to demonstrate a high radioactivity ore, let me show you a pebble picked up on the Cornish beach by sheer chance by one of my colleagues during his summer holiday last year. There's a picture of it. And here's a pebble. I won't give you the name of the bay for fear you'll avoid it for your holidays. But this is a pebble picked up on the Cornish beach. You'll say it is not as radioactive as the Key Lake ore, but it is noticeably uranium ore. So in fact, some of the material that you can find is much more radioactive than the average material that I have shown you so far. And so you see, you are surrounded by quite a lot of radioactivity. Quite a lot of radioactivity. It varies a fair amount. And I have shown you what is there in an average English garden. Of course, if you come from Scotland, the radioactivity is much larger. Because large parts of Scotland contain granite. The same is true for Cornwall. And you'll notice from this slide that the total amount of thorium in a Scottish garden is 3 times as much. The total amount of uranium is 3 times as much. And therefore, the radioactive background is obviously 3 times as much. I am anxious that you should get a proper impression of the amount of radioactivity that you own, especially if you're a Scotsman. And I have therefore brought for you 18 kilograms of thorium. Just 18 kilograms of thorium. There's no point to show you that it's radioactive. You'll know that. But you'll see I cannot actually hold it in one hand. I won't drop it for you to demonstrate that. But I do actually have to use both hands in order to hold that amount of thorium. Whereas your mere 6 kilograms of uranium is an easy thing to demonstrate. That's what you have in your Scottish garden. So in fact, you are surrounded by radioactivity, and it is there everywhere, and you cannot avoid it. Let us in fact go back to our English garden, and let's now dig a little bit deeper. Let's not now look at the top meter. Let's look at the top 300 meters. You don't now have 300 times as much as before. You have 400 times as much as before, because the ground gets denser as you go down. So in the top 300 meters, you have 2,800,000 kilograms of potassium, 2,400 kilograms of thorium, and 800 kilograms of uranium. And I will call that a deep garden unit, because it is the material that is buried deeper in your garden than the top surface of the material. Now, all that radioactive material gives us a dose of radiation. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't avoid it, because the radiation is all around us. Some of it, in fact, comes from outer space, about 14%. Some of it from the ground. Some of it from building materials. Some of it from our own bodies. Some due to medical practices such as X-rays. Only a tiny fraction comes to you from the nuclear industry, whether or not we do have accidents. So in fact, this is the radiation that is all around us. You cannot sense radiation by smell, taste, touch, hearing, or sight. As you see, we can detect it easily using instruments. And you can ask the philosophical question, why has mankind evolved over thousands of years without an ability to detect that radiation? Because it doesn't matter very much. It doesn't matter very much. It's all around us. It is not harmless. It is, in fact, a risk to your health, but it is not very important. It's a very small risk.